Hey guys, I'm gonna need y'all to come on in here. Come on in. It's your girl, the shower, and I am back. I am back. I'm back. I'm gonna need y'all to do like one, two, three things. One, two, three. Like, share, and subscribe. That's what I'm gonna need you to do. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's your girl, the shower, and I am back with another video, guys. So come on in. So this morning, you're gonna hear the maintenance man for the whole street doing his thing, cleaning the streets. I wish he was doing my yard because my yard is filled with leaves. I have a little discussion, a little topic on what kind of been happening since the last video before, while we were still at the shelter before our big move. So actually a lot has happened. And so today I'm just going to focus on the move, how it happened, what took place, how did we move to where we are now, the whole transition. So my father passed away in February and his funeral was in March. And so my family and I, we went to Los Angeles for the funeral. A cousin of ours asked another cousin, who was I in particular, at the funeral. I don't know what sparked her interest in me, and I don't know if it's because if you guys go back, you know that I cut my hair like real short. And so I don't know if it was the bald head and this real loud mustard yellow blazer that I had on that attracted her. I don't know, but something made her letting me know we were cousins, and she wanted to introduce herself, and I was like, oh, okay, nice to meet you, this, that, and the other. Well, let me tell you, when I say the devil is always working and is always busy, the devil is always working and is always busy. Well, she introduced herself, we talked, we exchanged numbers. I text her and let her know that, hey, you just introduced yourself to me at the funeral. Let's talk anytime you're ready. And that's what we did. We talked. So my father's funeral was March 7th, and we talked every day or every other day from March 7th to July 7th. July 7th was our last day at the shelter because of the promise and the move and everything. That was the day, our flight, everything. So when I say you just have to be real careful, you just have to be real careful, because my father's funeral was March 7th. When we got back from the funeral, we had only 2 weeks to be in that shelter, and COVID hit. So COVID forced everything to shut down, and we had to stay shelter in place. So yay, everything was like working its magic, because we were like, where were we going to go when we get back from the funeral? Where were we going to go? And no, I never had really told my father our whole situation. He was sick, and I didn't want to put that on him, and there was nothing he can really do anyway. So I hadn't talked to my sisters in so long. So nobody really knew the situation. They just knew that we were kind of going through our thing, but I had never really went into depth about our situation. So no one really knew we were even in a shelter. Like, otherwise, no one really knew we were in a shelter. And so COVID like hit right on time. And so that put us there and allowed us to be there from March to July. Now, my cousin has sold this big, humongous dream, claiming we were going to be doing all these family events. My kids were going to think she was their grandma. I was like, oh my gosh, that would be perfect, because my mother passed away and they don't have a grandma. So this was like beautiful sounding to my ears. Like, I really wish my mother was here today. So from March 7th to July 7th, we talked every day. And if we missed a day, we was right back on the phone the next morning. Her and I I would be on that phone just like my mother and I. And I live with my mother. I never left my mother. I always had my old apartment, but I never left my mother. I lived with my mother to the day that she died, and she passed away at home. So beautiful. I mean, things were going beautiful over the phone, beautiful. And she was telling me that she understands our situation, and some people have something to say, like, why don't she leave her kids and go to work, or why don't she put her kids in childcare, or how come her boyfriend and woo. So let me tell you, our situation is our situation. If I haven't left him, that means it's not him. Okay? That's one thing. That's the first thing. Second thing, I'm not leaving my kids with just anyone. Because that's how things happen to kids. Situation. And our situation is because the house that we were living in, the landlord put us out the house. The landlord told us we had 90 days to live there. Housing cut off his portion. He asked me to pay, and at the time I did have the money, but no, I'm not paying you for something that you won't even fix for housing. If you're not fixing it for housing, you're not fixing it for me. He sent me a 90-day notice and told me I had to move, and I did. When I was pregnant, like, just things you guys really don't know. So it's gonna be, guys, just keep up, okay? So I can't say this. I was hospitalized, and my family and I were living in the hospital until I had the baby. I lost my Section 8 housing voucher, so no longer do I have that. And I was promised a whole lot of things from a family member, meeting them. And now here it is, July 7th, our last day at the shelter. And we're saying our goodbyes, and I'm just like, yes, finally things are going to go up, 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 and up, and we'll get better, greater for the, so we get on the plane. The kids are excited, they're nervous, and I'll probably try to insert a little clip of us.
Oh, we were supposed to already be on here, y'all.
They actually did. Everybody did well.
Ooh, where y'all going, y'all?
I thought it was just going to be a whole different experience.
Y'all excited?
But it turned out very, very nice. And then we had a resting time, and I believe it was like an hour and a half. So it wasn't too bad, because that was a different type of experience. Like, that airport is humongous. That is the landing. Before you start landing, you could just see all the greenery. The greenery, so serene, so calming. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Promise that was told way before even making the decision. Even though internally I knew I wanted to do it, but before me telling her that I wanted to do it, I had already made my decision that I was going to do it. And not so much because of what she told me. It kind of made a play into it, but I was like, the living is going to be different. The rent is going to be different. Everything will be different, and for the better. And where the hell was we going? We didn't have nowhere to go, so of course, yes. And so, God don't like ugly, and it's not too fond of pretty. So you can't go around being nasty. You can't go around being mean. You can't go around doing sneaky things all your life, 60-something years old, and think that you're never going to get away with it. See, you are always going to get caught. Somewhere along the lines, you are always going to get caught. People that steal gets caught. People that vandalize get caught. People that cheat get caught. People that molest get caught. Anything that you do, you're going to get caught eventually, especially if it means no good. This lady has been doing things, I take it, all her life, but it took for me to come in and not so much put her in her place. I had to cussed her out a few times. But it took for me to be the one to come in for everything to open up and show its true colors without me even having to open my mouth, without me even have to bash her, without me even have to tell the real truth, without me having to talk bad about her on social media. I never did that. Never. Well, here's the tea. The tea is that the moment she got all that money invested in the house, the moment she fixed that house up, she got a phone call and a knock on the door telling her she had to leave that house. Sure did. The moment she finished that house, she got a knock on the door and a telephone call telling her she had to get out that house. Yeah, that sister came and got that house from her. So not only did you just do a whole bunch of fun with yourself because you had this house, you had that house, you had everything going in motion until you gave up your whole self. You gave up, see, when you do devilment, you're supposed to make sure that you are secure within the devilment. But because you was doing so much devilment, and see, all I did was sit back. All I did, I cussed her out a couple of times, and not so much like, bitch. No, I cussed her out. I put her in her place a couple of times. Let's just say I put her in her place a couple of times. Because just because I'm in a situation, that don't give you no right to think you're going to act or do me in any kind of way. It's like, I'm waiting for it. No, I'm just going to get it just right. And it did. And it woke up all the doors. So now we're in a situation to where we're not sure if the landlord really wants to sell the house or not. He wants to sell, just like how I thought my cousin was beautiful. The inside was not. So things behind these walls, it's a lot that needs to be done. So no one wants to even sell it, but go down on his asking price. So we're stuck in between that. But other than that, we are doing beautiful. We are doing great. And I just want to say thank you for listening in. Thank you so much. This is in my Us Girlz Pop collection. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let me step back some. Now, let me tell you, this is really a dress. A dress. But because my plus size is in it, it fits me like a shirt. But somebody can rock this like a little short mini dress with some thigh-high boots. And yes, and I'm going to rock it with my jeggings. If I want, is looking good. I am feeling good. I'm starting to look good. Going through what I just went through, that took a lot out of me because I never saw it coming. Never would have thought that it would happen to me, and it could happen to anybody. So, guys, but when you keep yourself together inside internally, and you're gonna fall off. I'm not saying that you're not gonna fall. Oh, you're gonna fall off. Woo, you're gonna fall off. But keep yourself mentally stable. Keep yourself together. Cry, get some of that shit out. But when I tell you the comeback is serious, the comeback is real, and it may not be the comeback where now I'm making hella money and this and that, but the comeback is real, and I feel good. I still have my days, and I'm not nowhere where I want to be. I don't even have a car yet, so, but I feel like freaking the Shira, like your girl is the Shira again. So clothes, I'm excited about some clothes. All right, guys, I'm